Okay, so the final piece of the puzzle before we get to put it all together is an objective function. An objective function goes through the whole process of writing the constraints, which are inequalities, of writing the objective function, and then finding the corner points. So those are all three things. So we talked about how to find the points of intersection. We talked about how to write the constraints, which are the inequalities. We haven't talked about an objective function yet. An objective function is used when we're trying to minimize or maximize something. You might also hear this process called optimization. And what we're going to do is we're going to work on writing that objective function, which is whatever value we are trying to minimize or maximize. For instance, if this were a cost function, I would want to minimize cost. If it were a profit function, I would want to maximize profit. Let's take a look. So in this case, we have an accessory company that makes purses and wallets. The cost for producing a purse is $5.75, and the cost for producing a wallet is $3.25. Write an objective function that represents the total cost for producing X purses and Y wallets. So the objective function, Z, is going to be basically relating the cost per purse and the cost per wallet because it's a cost function. So the objective function would be that a purse cost $5.75, so it's 5.75x. And we're going to add to that, because obviously we're looking for total cost, 575x plus 3.25y, because it's $3.25 per wallet. And that is all. So the objective function is generally pretty straightforward. We'll talk about sort of how to pick it out later when we actually go through a whole example. Here's another one. Jessie is making money by tutoring. $35 an hour tutoring chemistry, $55 tutoring math. I should get that job instead, huh? So write an objective function that represents the total weekly income. So now the other one was a cost function. This one is obviously an income or profit or whatever. So if she tutors X hours per week in chemistry and Y hours per week in mathematics. So Z would be 35 multiplied by the number of hours in chemistry and 55 multiplied by the number of hours per week in mathematics. So there is your objective function. And here is an office manager. She's looking to, let's see, this is the cost. So obviously she's going to be looking to reduce the cost as much as possible. The full-time employees are at $20 per hour and part-time at $15 per hour. The objective function would actually relate those two then for X full-time employees. So I'm going to take $20 per hour times X and $15 per hour times Y, and that would tell us hours that she could give to full-time or part-time employees.